Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Today's topic, where should you live in the Philippines? And I'm going to cover about 9 cities and I'll give you some thoughts about why you might want to live in that particular city, and I'll mention a couple of reasons why you might not want to live in that city. Also, reach out to all of you who have traveled to any of those areas, who have some experience and insight into those areas. Please leave comments and advice, that type of thing, in the comment section. First of all, using Google Earth, and certainly appreciate what they do for us with all our maps. And let's get some perspective here. And this is a free program, Google Earth Pro, that you can download to your computer or even your smartphone. And so we have the Philippines here, and you have Indonesia, Malaysia, Indonesia. You've got Vietnam over here, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and China up here, of course, Taiwan up here. Um, anyway, let's look at the Philippines. Let's zoom in just a little bit. And I've been living in Cebu City. This Long Island here is Cebu. You've got the big island, southern island of Mindanao, Davao City down here. You've got Cebu and Cebu City. Over here on Negros, you have Dumaguete down here. You have Bacolod City up here. Across on Panay Island, you've got Iloilo City down here. You go up over here to Palawan, you have Puerto Princesa, and you have the large island of Luzon, and you have Metro Manila. You have Angeles City, Subic Bay area up here, and you have up in the mountains Baguio, and we'll cover some information about each of those cities in this video. There again, uh, ask for and welcome all your comments. First of all, we'll start up here in Metro Manila. And Metro Manila, a little bit about the city. It consists of 16 cities. I think the population is about 13 million people. It's a lot of people. One thing I found, they said 24 million, an agglomeration, which would mean, I presume, if they include a much larger area than the Metro Manila area. I've got a friend lives up here in Antipolo. In fact, he had a YouTube channel, did a lot of really nice music videos, and they shut him down because of some copyright issues. Something you have to be careful with music and videos. Anyway, why would you want to live there? It's a huge city. If you've lived in a huge city, you're comfortable in huge cities. It has pretty much everything that you want there. It has the big, very good hospitals. It has the huge shopping centers. It has you can surround yourself with things to do. You're never going to run out of be bored there unless you choose to be bored. Uh, Basically, I think three basic areas: National Capital Region. You've got the old Manila Casino Bay area, BGC, Bonifacio, I think, area, and Makati area. Makati being, I think, the one of several business hubs. Many foreigners kind of flock to that Makati area, I think. I know a couple foreigners expats who've lived in different areas, and they didn't like those areas, and for whatever reason. So it just depends upon what you're looking for. I grew up in a very, very small country town um, in Minnesota. I went to college in a medium-sized town, about 50,000. I lived in Minneapolis, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I've lived in Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Los Angeles, as well as a couple other towns, about maybe 1 to 2,000 population. Um, I'm a small small town guy who likes the bigger cities. Los Angeles was just too big for me. You know, I could live there. I could enjoy my time there. I could live in Manila. I could enjoy my time there. So much, so many things to do. And if you want to get out of town, you get out of town. The mountains, the ocean, the bay, so many things to do there. The hospitals, the malls, the mountains. Anyway, why wouldn't you want to live there? Well, because it's too big, possibly. You can move up into the mountains like Antipolo or a little further out here, and it gets a little bit cooler as you go up. The only way you get out of the warmer temperatures is to go up in elevation, pretty much, unless you live by the sea and you're getting a nice breeze. They have had a number of earthquakes that have shaken some buildings. The buildings survived some pretty strong earthquakes, but that's a fact of life in much of the world. I know a number of people live down here in Batangas. Is that Batangas? Batangas down here, and they love that area there. I've heard people talk about different areas down here. You have Tall Volcano that blew. Something to keep in mind if you're living around volcanoes, if they're active or not. Tall Volcano is, and so that creates an issue. I never thought it was good to live on the side on a volcano or beside a volcano, but millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people anyway, were making a living in that area until they weren't. Now, what factors are going to determine where you want to live? Cost of living is important to many of us. Safety is important. Language is important. Probably more people speak English in the Manila area than most other places around the Philippines, probably. Some of the best medical care in the Philippines you'll find right there in Manila. Can you be content there? Really depends upon what you're looking for. Looking for pretty girls, they're all over the Philippines, so you can find those anywhere. Traffic is known to be pretty bad in the Manila area, just like any big city, and it's interesting. I have told probably hundreds of Filipinos and taxi drivers as I talk to them, and they think, oh, but in America your traffic is good and always flowing. They see the American movies, I guess. No, and they're surprised when I tell them no. Any city in the world probably has rush hour traffic. Just too many vehicles on the roads. So it can be. You can find some very expensive, very nice places to live in the Manila area. Some people ask what are the amenities, and you'll probably find from what I've heard, and I've lived in Cebu City for 5 years, and is that you can get more luxury for your money in the Manila area than you can with the high-end properties in Cebu City. I've heard that from different people who have more experience in the real estate industry, so that's not my personal information. It can be expensive living there, but you can find, just like any place, cost of living is up to you. It's your choice. If you want to downgrade, if you want to move into the cheaper places, cheaper cities, you can search those types of things out. I will do another video sometime in the future more about each and every one of these cities we're going to cover here. This is just kind of an introduction to different areas. So let's jump up not so far, about 40 kilometers north of Manila, and you have New Clark City. And that is a area that about 2 times the size of Manhattan as it's planned, about the size of Singapore. I'm talking about Angeles City, basically. Angeles City is very close. I'll include Angeles City in with this, Clark, Freeport, Philippines up here, and Angeles City here. And I'll include those as one, even though they aren't really one. But you have the Clark International Airport there, which is which is going to be a big part of the. In fact, they're going to take a lot of the. They're expanding that airport. They're going to try to take a lot of the flights, a certain percentage of the flights out of the Ninoy Aquino, the main airport in Manila, and move them up to that area. They're trying to move some of the government offices up into that area, my understanding is. And New Clark City is meant to be an ecological green city. And a lot of planning going on in the future. They're going to transform that area a bit. You've got, you're relatively close to Manila. If you need to get to Manila, they've got a Clark Freeport area, Clark Global City, New Clark City, and the Clark International Airport that will be designed for, it says here, about 80 million passengers a year. It's a lot of passengers. Anyway, let's zoom out here just a little bit to get an idea where we're at here. Why would you move there? Well, you're close to Manila. You've got a major airport there. It's a as it says, it's a new city, New Clark City, and they are developing it, and probably will be the best planned if they don't screw it up. Best planned city in many countries. Why wouldn't you move there? Well, Angela City is kind of known. You know, it's known if you're a party type of person. A lot of bars. And for those people who would be attracted to Pattaya, Phuket, different places like that in Thailand, that's people go there. It has that reputation, the bars and the girls and all that sort of thing. If you like that, you might be attracted to it. If you don't, I've lived in Vegas for many years, and I wasn't a gambler. I wasn't a partier. I wasn't part of that scene. It was another city. There were advantages, reasons why I lived there instead of Los Angeles was too expensive. I moved out of LA after a couple of years. So there are options there. Subic Bay, not very far from Angeles. In fact, not very far from Manila again. Was a former U.S. naval base. Mount Pinatubo isn't very far from here. And it was at 1991 that Mount Pinatubo, the volcano, blew its top, the largest volcanic eruption on Earth in the last 100 years. And prior to it erupting for weeks or maybe even a month or more, there were warnings. There were earthquakes and rumblings and warnings and alerts, and the Navy sent its fleets out to sea. They flew their planes out of the area. I've seen a video on YouTube where the military was driving their jeeps through about foot thick volcanic ash on the base as they were trying to get out of the area. And one of my subscribers, in fact, quite a while back, mentioned that he was there when that thing went off, and he was part of the evacuation, I believe. Anyway, there is a YouTuber up there that says that that is the most western feel to that whole area, and I think his site is Philippine Property Club, something like that. And he does a number of videos up there, and he's lived in Manila and a few other places. And he says that you can do. They promote the property and foreigner ownership of property up there. So I don't know the details, but it is growing. There's been talk recently and kind of on again, off again, that the U.S. naval might be allowed to come back in there and set up another naval base, repair ships, those types of things. By the way, the Philippines, as far as shipbuilding, they are the number 4 shipbuilders in the world. And they build some big ships. There is a shipbuilding place over on the west side of Cebu Island, Balamban area, I believe, and they have a number of different. I think they might even have an area up here where they build ships as well. Anyway, why wouldn't you want to live in an area like that? Uh, it's too western. The prices have gone up. There's because of the talk about the U.S. Navy coming back in. I understand that the prices of properties and homes have been going up. Uh, so we'll see what happens with this economic devastation we're presently in here in late 2020, if that will affect the prices or not. So let's run up north to, not up north of here a bit, up to the what they call the summer capital, up to Baguio, Baguio town, Baguio city, and it's up in the mountains, about 5,000 foot elevation, which makes that about 1,500 meters above mean sea level. And like so many cities in the Philippines and probably the world, it has a population that it was never designed for. So infrastructure is very important up in that area. But you are up in the mountains, so it's much cooler up there. Um, don't know whether you need heat some days. Depends on how you handle the cooler temperatures. Probably gets a little bit foggy up there at times. You're in the clouds at times. As we zoom in, you can see, of course, it's not flat land. You're in the mountains, so you build where you can build. You have different developments along the different roads. And the last I had heard, the Baguio airport was still not ready to open up. It's been closed for some time, I think. So you have look at one of the roads going up there, the switchbacks, and if you're in a rainy season, you get landslides across the roads, different things. Can be an issue getting in onto that area, but it's a decent sized city. Baguio, about 345,000 people, metropolitan area, about over 500,000 people. So it's a pretty good size population-wise, and those of you who have been there, you've got, I presume you have the malls. I know you have the public markets. It is quite a tourist area. People go up there to hike. They go up there to see the caves. There are rice terraces up there, ancient rice terraces. A number of other things to do up there. You're not very far from the ocean if that's what you want to do. Why would you move there? Temperature, climate would be one of the major things. Why wouldn't you want to be there? It might not be the easiest to get in and out of there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but all these roads to get there, you're traveling these mountain roads, and it could, during inclement weather, it could be a little difficult getting in and out of there. I don't know the details. Tell me what your experiences are. I have seen videos of guys traveling on buses, some of those switchbacks. Let me zoom out of there a bit, give you a little bit of perspective of where we're at here. And San Fernando, I've talked to somebody that lives up in that area up there. There's a lot of mountainous area. There's Cagayan. I know a guy up here lives up in Cagayan Valley up here. And I think he went back to the U.S. He's working back in the U.S. right now. He had a YouTube channel. But anyway, here you are from Manila. And just because of the location up the mountains and the fact that it's time consuming going up and down those mountains. It takes quite a while to get back down in this area. Looking for your input, those people who have been up there. Why wouldn't you want to live up there? I don't know about the cost of living. There again, it's a choice what type of areas you live in. So anyway, so we're looking at Luzon Island, this whole area, Luzon Island. Let's go down here to the Visayas, and the Visayas you have Samar Island, you have Leyte, you have Bohol with Tagbilaran Island, you have Cebu. I live here in Cebu City. Negros Island, you have Dumaguete down here, you have Bacolod over here, Panay Island, you have Iloilo City right here, Guimaras Island here, of course Palawan and Puerto Princesa over here. You have the Boracay, El Nido, Coron over in this area. And then we have Mindanao, the big island of Mindanao, and these are, I think several of these islands are all part of the Philippines. Part of those are Malaysia, and you have Indonesian off here, of course. And generally, this area up in here is considered for foreigners not to go there, I believe, because that's where the Islamist terrorists kind of hang out. There was another bombing just the other day. A few military people got hurt. There's ongoing conflicts down there. But you have a number of people live. Cagayan de Oro up here is popular with some foreigners, expats. You have Camigan Island here. There's more volcanoes on that island than there is cities, towns, I understand. And you have Surigao City, and I think this is Surigao Island, very popular with surfers up here. But where we wanted to go down here, I think the third largest after Cebu City. I think the metropolitan area is the third largest after Manila, Cebu City, metropolitan area, then Davao City area. And let's just zoom in there. And I'll give you some reasons why you might want to live there and some reasons why you might not want to live there. Now it's a good-sized city, so you're going to have probably, and those of you who've been there tell me, some larger malls, more shopping options and experiences. President Duterte, he was the mayor down there for years and years. His daughter is now mayor. One of my subscribers a couple of years ago, he told me he moved from Luzon up to Tagum City up here. One reason being that he thinks because the Duterte presence is strong down here, he thinks the infrastructure will be built up relatively quickly down here. I've met a subscriber who, him and his wife live on this island here, Maws Island. Is that the name of it? Not sure how you pronounce that properly. Mawas. Anyway, they like the more of the country life, province life over here, but they're very close to the big city. I understand that even though Davao City is very close to the same size metropolitan, wise as Cebu City, I think the population about 1,650,000. The metro area is about 2.5 million. They speak Cebuano, Calagan, Tagalog, Davaneo, and a few other less popular languages down in that area, I understand that it's more a spread out city. Now, I consider that Cebu City metropolitan area is a small, big city. It's compressed. You're not very far away from many different things. And unless the traffic is really backed up, it doesn't take you very long to get around the city. My understanding is that Davao City is spread out further, so it takes longer to get across town if that's what you want to do. You're relatively close to beaches. Mindanao has some great beaches, different places. I'm not sure about the area along the sea down here. If you have beaches, boardwalks, entertainment, all that type of thing. One day I will visit that area. Why wouldn't you want to live there? They tend to get, I've been watching the news for over 5 years, they get a few earthquakes, damaging earthquakes down in that area. The last one a week or so ago in the 5 category came down here. Down here they had a 6 or something up in here. And I have a couple of earthquake alert apps, and it's not unusual to get earthquakes here. A couple of years ago, they had a building collapse, 4-story shopping center, I think, an older one. And one nice thing about the newer, taller buildings is that apparently they're built well for earthquakes, and it's the smaller, older ones that didn't really have the proper design and or construction. I don't know. But then you will see those types of things collapsing on a rare occasion. On a rare occasion. So you have that earthquake issue down there. You've had a couple of bombings in town. That could happen anywhere in the Philippines. They just arrested, I think, one of the top guys with the Islamist terrorists. They arrested him in the Manila area, and he was one of the coordinators and bomb makers and planners, that type of thing. So it can happen anywhere, but it has in the last 5 years that I've happened here. It's happened 2 or 3 times that I'm aware of in Davao City area. Once at a public market, I believe, killed many people. But it can happen anywhere. Those are the issues we live in. So you have Cagayan de Oro up here, very popular with foreigners. Medium-sized city, and let's go over here to the Central Visayas. Again, you have you have Leyte here, and very small little division between Leyte and Samar up here. Bohol Island, which is very popular with expats. Pangalao Island, big diving area out over here. Cebu Island, Cebu City. You've got Bantayan Island. I believe this is Bantayan Island over here. You have Malapascua Island there. Very small. I've been up to that little island. It's known for its diving areas. Dived with, went down to see the thresher sharks. Very, very interesting. Nice beaches up there. Anyway, you've got Negros, and you have Dumaguete down here. You can take a ferry across. In fact, you can get on a bus up here and take a bus down here. It'll get on a ferry, take you over to Dumaguete. Or you can take from Cebu City. They have buses that run across here. You get on a ferry. The bus gets on a ferry. You go across here. The bus gets off the ferry and can take you over here to Bacolod. I happened to get on a bus that went the long way around to Bacolod, and you have Iloilo over here. Panay Island, and I had a friend who lived in Iloilo for a year or so, I think, and he didn't care for it that much, but I'll tell you about some good things about Iloilo here in a second. So he moved up here to Rojas City. He likes it up there, and he's made a few trips over here to Kalibo, and he likes that city as well. They're much smaller than Iloilo City, but let's zoom in here to Iloilo City. You have Guimaras Island over here. I took a trip over to Iloilo City last year. I've done lots of videos over there as well as Bacolod. My trip over and around there. There's some beaches out here, and beaches around the island, different places, resorts around the island. But Iloilo City, why would you want to live there? It is a medium-sized city. If you don't like the big cities, if you don't like Manila, Cebu City, Davao City, Iloilo City is a medium-sized city. About 500,000 population. The metropolitan area is about 1 million. Hiligaynon is the language. They call themselves Ilonggos, and considered the bike capital. They promote bikes. They have one thing I like. They've got a river that runs around that area. You can see this river here. And I think up here, somewhere around up in here, they have a bike paths, walk paths, park up along that river. Makes it pretty neat. I took a ferry across here, came in here. The piers were down in this area, I think, and I stayed in a couple hotels down in this city proper area. Got a number of malls. This Mandurriao area, I think this is where they have several of the malls out crossed here. I think up along this road here, I think. Airport outside of town here somewhere. Relatively cheap to catch a bus or V-hire, which means van for hire. Tricycle probably will take you on into town. Lots of choices for hotels. They Asian, ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, gave Iloilo an award a year or so ago for being the cleanest tourist city award. And I was impressed with Iloilo. I would put that high on my list of a place to live. The people were very friendly. Every place I went, very helpful. I walked. I took tricycles and hobbles, motorbike taxis. I took taxis. They do have taxis there, unlike like Dumaguete, very popular with expats. I don't think still does not have taxis there. Hopefully, my friend, I won't mention his name, Bonzo Alonzo, who lived here for years, so he will fill us in on his thoughts about the area. And others of you, many of you have lived there or visited there, and I was originally going to move there. Actually, that was my choice, and I met a Filipino lady who worked at a hotel I stayed at in Tucson, Arizona, and I was talking to her, and she said, "No, sir, go to Cebu City," and that was her hometown. And so after originally I didn't want the information I'd seen about Cebu City was that is a tourist destination. And I didn't want to go to a tourist destination. I wanted to immerse myself in the Philippine culture. So you know how people describe things a certain way, and you get this picture in your head. And so until you put your feet on the ground, experience yourself, we will all see the same thing, and we'll have different experiences. You know, that's the way it is. We have good experiences, we have bad experiences. Even though we've gone to the same place, those who have been there to give us some insights there. And I was surprised how few foreigners I saw there. And I finally talked to a guy in a mall. Him and his wife and child were there. And I mentioned that to him, and he said, "Oh, he's lived there, I think 3 years. Built a house just on the outskirts of town, and up in Jaro up here, I think." And he said, "Oh no, there's quite a few foreigners here. They're just you just don't see them today." But I was there about 4 days, I think, and very rare that I spotted a foreigner. But the people were very friendly, and I think it would be high on my list of a place. And it's a decent sized town. You've got your malls, you've got your high-rise condos, more and more going up. Ayala and SM, many different developers are going in and developing there. So lots of potential there, I think. Now let's go over there again. Uh, Across the straits there again, you've got Rojas City, you got Calibo, of course, you've got towns and cities and provinces all the way around here. I took the ferry, and then going back, of course, I got on Guimaras Island. Would be an interesting trip. When I was in Iloilo City, there was a typhoon coming across, and so it was getting a little rainy out, and not didn't seem like a good time to visit and be a tourist over here, to rent a motorbike over here. So I put that off. Still have to get over there. So I took a ferry from here back over to Bacolod. I forget, maybe an hour or so, something like that. Don't remember. Got on a bus over here, went to the bus terminal, and took a bus across here. Got on another ferry, crossed to here, got on another bus into Cebu City. But anyway, let's zoom in here to Bacolod. There again, popular with many expats living there. One or two of them have YouTube channels, I believe, and it was kind of neat because I actually the bus I took over, I ended up getting on a bus over here from the ferry, and I thought we were going to go across here, but I got on a bus that took the long route around, and actually was a good experience because I got to see the provinces. I got to see these cities. It gave me a little bit of an idea what's out here. And there's a lot to say about living out here close to the bigger city, but you're out of town where it's cheaper to live also. Bacolod City. There again, I was somewhat impressed. There are a number of large, pretty good size. There's SM and Ayala and other malls and shopping centers. I was there a couple days. I wish I was there longer. But there again, those of you who have visited there, who have experience, insight about that area, cost of living, there again, it's your choice. You can live high end or you can live low end. It's your choice and the costs that you incur. The hospitals there, just like Iloilo, I think they have good hospitals in these medium-sized cities. There are some things where they would probably, I don't know which things, where if they're serious enough, they'll send you either to Manila or Cebu City. I presume. I've heard things like that. I don't know. Those types of things are changing. They're getting new equipment, new capabilities all the time. Just a side note also, here again, you have Cebu Island, you have Negros Island, you have Bantayan Island up here. Now, Bantayan is a huge egg producing area, and also they produce a lot of dried fish. And I was up here for three days, something like that. And we rented a motorbike, went all the way around the island. We did that in one day. If I would have done it over, I would have rented the bike for 2 days, gone up halfway one day, and did much more sightseeing, and then come back the second day. But anyway, they actually deliver those eggs to other islands. There are ferries up there who much of their work is just loading their pump boats with eggs and taking them to Negros, taking them over to Iloilo, and taking them over into Cebu. Was Bonzo Alonzo, did you live in Cadiz City over here for a while too? I don't remember what you told me. Done Davao, but let's go down here to Dumaguete. I've been to Dumaguete. There again, Bacolod up here, and Dumaguete down here. And buses, all these islands, transportation on them. You have buses. You can rent a taxi in many places. The tricycles, the motorbike, the hobble drivers, taxis. So there are a number of options, or you can take ferries from different locations, just depending upon the area that you're in. Now, I've taken a couple routes. I've taken a Coqueleon ferry from here. It was a 5.5 hour trip down here during the daytime. You even see some dolphins down here to Dumaguete. Left at noon, got there about 5:30, I think. Dumaguete, very popular with expats for a number of reasons. It's a smaller city. It's smaller. It's got the hospitals. It's got the universities. It's got the entertainment. It's got the boardwalk. If I lived in a place like Dumaguete, it would be good in the fact that I would travel more. It's small enough where I would probably get bored. 135,000 people. They speak Cebuano, English, and some Filipino, of course. The second trip I took was I took a bus. I got on a bus here, and the bus went all the way down here. I found the ferry ride to be much more enjoyable, and got on a ferry here, and it took us across to the north side of Dumaguete, which is, forget the name of the place. Sibulan, that's what it was, Sibulan. So you come across here to Sibulan by ferry, then you rent a motorbike or tricycle to bring you on into town. There again, as far as I know, they still do not have taxis in that area, jeepneys. Nice town. They've got a bit of a boardwalk down here. You can sit down, park area long. Eventually, Cebu may have something like that, and maybe in 5 years, they've got an area downtown that could be made into a nice boardwalk type area. But that's, I think, many years off, I believe. Smaller malls there. You don't have big malls, but you've got You've got malls that have just about everything that you need. Um, a couple of stores that are important to me: S&R and Landers, two stores kind of like Costco, membership stores that they are in Manila, Cebu. I think Iloilo has one or is getting one. Some of the bigger and medium-sized cities have them. I doubt that Dumaguete has that. I know people that live on some islands. They'll come to once a month. They'll make a trip to the bigger city to go to an S&R or a Landers or get the necessities, the things that they can't get. I'm guessing that Dumaguete, you can get most of what you want right there in town. You're close to the mountains. Valencia up here is up in the mountains a ways, much cooler up there. I'm not sure exactly how much cooler. I was told by a guy that lives up there that they get their energy comes from thermal, the heat under the ground, and therefore it is cheaper, and you need less of it because it's cooler anyway. Um, I had 2 short trips here and did a lot of walking, a little bit of tricycle ride around the city, so don't have a really good feel for that area, but it's a favorite. I think many years ago, in fact, in some poll, it was listed as the #1 expat destination, retirement destination. And I don't know if that was in the Philippines or in Asia or in the world, but it was listed very high. So it has things going for it. All these cities have immigration offices, including Dumaguete, the smaller off. But there are some things, the smaller cities, the medium-sized cities, those immigration offices don't handle everything. So it is necessary sometimes to go from those who live in Dumaguete, and they can make comments about they have to come to Cebu City or Manila or maybe Davao City to take care. Of course, that would be quite a trip over here to take care of immigration type issues. So I think there are some good reasons to live there. It's smaller for those people. In where I'm from in the Midwest USA, a medium-sized city is like 50,000 people. But here you have the Philippines is really a small nation. It's spread out with 7,000 islands. Really, you only have to worry about 3 or 4 or 11 different islands, the bigger islands. But here it's they've got Arizona, in fact, where I live, about the same size. If you take all the Philippine islands, put them together, about the same land size as Arizona. Arizona has 7 million people. The Philippines has 110 million people, approximately. So over 100 million people in the same land area. So it's densely populated. So a medium-sized city here is not 50,000, it's 1 million people. Much different. Last but not least, Cebu City, Cebu, the Philippines. And that's where I'm living. And what you have is you've got Mactan Island. This is Mactan Island. This is where the international airport is, right there. And they've got a new international terminal. So #1 is the domestic terminal for flights within the country. The international terminals for international flights, of course. And you've got 2 bridges that go across here. You've got a 3rd bridge being built down here. I've done a video or 2 about that. This is Cebu City. This is Mandaue City. Most of the beaches here, and I'm going to talk about the Cebu metro area. Most of the nice beaches are on this east side of Mactan Island. And you have anything from 1-star to 5-star resorts. Many of the resorts have hotels and condominiums that you can buy and rent as well. I've done videos about a few of those. I've done over 600 videos, many of condominiums over here in Cebu City, Mandaue City. Over here you have the mountains. So you have the mountains on this side, and the ocean on this side. Olongo Island is kind of a wildlife refuge type area, I think. And then farther out here, you have Bohol Island. Um, you have a number of piers down in this area, freight piers as well as passenger piers. You have Magellan's Cross downtown area. The metropolitan area includes cities Liloan and I think Compostela up here, maybe, all the way down to Talisay and Mindanao, I believe. That's the metropolitan area. About 2.5 million people, 3 million people, something like that, I think. A lot of farming up in the mountains up here where you get your vegetables, and then further down Cebu Island, Dumaguete area produces a lot of vegetables for us, and they come in a huge public market downtown Cebu City, down in this area. And as I was saying earlier, Cebu City was recommended to me by a Filipina that worked at a hotel in Tucson, Arizona, and I've come and I've stayed. I would like to travel to additional cities. I like Iloilo City as well as Bacolod City. Many cities I still have not visited. I would like to spend some time in Manila area, in Angeles, SUBIC Bay, and that whole area up in Luzon. Why would you want to live in Cebu City? It is a bigger city. It's got the international airport. It's got a number of ferry piers where you can catch ferries to different areas. You're not very far away from going north or south. Your nice beaches, you got to go an hour and a half south, or that far or further north. You're close to Bantayan Island on the north. Dan Bantayan is the very north tip of the island of Cebu. So there's quite a bit to do just right on that island. There are caves, there are waterfalls. You have Oslo down south a bit with whale watching. You have Molboal, which is famous for diving. Lots of dive resorts over there. I've been over there diving. So there is a lot on the island of Cebu itself to do, and their transportation. You have your buses. You have, of course, the airport. You have V-hires, van for hires. You can hire a taxi and grab cars to take you a number of different places. You have most of what you would need shopping-wise with the big malls, SM, Ayala malls, Gaisano malls, Robinson's malls. There are a number of things you can get online. Now, getting things online is a whole another video. Usually takes me about 2 weeks to get something if I ordered online. Comes from Manila or comes from China or someplace, and by the time it gets to me, the different ferries that it has to get on, a couple weeks to get stuff. So the crime rate, I think, is relatively low. We'll see what happens after this present crisis that we're going through, medical crisis. If the poor and desperate become do more criminal type activities. I like to walk. I have walked many streets. I was apprehensive, the first 6 months to a year walking in some areas. But all but a couple occasions, I did not feel at all, other than apprehensive going into areas the first time. Did not feel at risk at all. Now, anything can happen to you any place, any time, so best to keep your guard up and protect your valuables. But I think it's a relatively it's got a lot of potential, put it that way. They're putting in a new bridge, fourth bridge down here. I think it's going to open in 2022. They're planning a fourth bridge over here, and this bridge in particular will really help with the traffic right now that has to go all the way through town to get up to these bridges to go across into Mactan industrial sites over here. And what else? There's another road that is planned up along the kind of a bypass highway that's planned up along the foothills up here. I think they're in process of planning and buying up properties, I believe. There's talk of putting a monorail into the city. Not sure exactly where or when that will happen. There is a site, I think it's called Cebu 2050. They've got a number of videos about plans modernizing the city with transportation, with water treatment, sewage treatment plants, a number of different things. Why wouldn't you want to live here? Well, it is a big city. There is the issue of traffic, especially certain times of the day. Getting across these bridges to Mactan Island during rush hour can be a bear. Traffic, some areas in town can be a bear. You do have some issues with pollution. Now they're taking a lot of the jeepneys off the roads and replacing them with more fuel efficient and clean buses. So we'll see how that runs over the next year or so. You have access to ferries going many different places and quite a few options there. The cost of living, the price of renting and buying condominiums and into developments here has been going up with the demand. Industry has been investing heavily in this area over the years, and prices have been going up in the 5 years I've been here. And with this present crisis here in late 2020, the chance is that there is in the process, as there is in many places, the Philippines and across the world, there is some major price corrections. Prices are going down, demand is down, more companies are having employees work from home, so commercial properties are going to sit vacant or go for less money. People who have invested in condominiums, hoping to rent them out Airbnb, are going to be looking to either sell. 10 million OFW, overseas Filipino workers, a million of them no longer have jobs. They're coming back home. They're going to want to sell their condominiums. They no longer have that foreign income. A number of reasons that we'll see a price correction, and so we'll see what happens in the coming year. Although you do have resorts and beaches over here on Mactan Island, you don't have any. You have to go up to Lalone at least, and down here I think there are some from some small resorts and small beaches perhaps, but you don't have any close-end beaches here. Right here in Cebu, Mandaue City area that I am aware of anyway. As far as entertainment, a lot of the resorts have entertainment. Hotels will have bands and entertainment, some of them. There is an area called Mango Square, which is basically a block or two down uptown Cebu City, not downtown. That catered a lot to the foreigners, the expats, and had a number of bars a couple of years ago. The last mayor didn't really like that. Didn't like the reputation it was having with the girls and the lady boys and just coming out later at night. Anyway, one way or another, he shut down some of those bars. There's still a few expat bars in that area. Over in Mandaue City, there's a place over by Park Mall called Times Square. They've got a number of bars and restaurants in one block area as well. But it's not the same as it used to be. So. Anyway, everything changes, and we'll see what happens in the coming 6 months to year when they open up tourist visas again. Now, I know many expats that do live. They live out here, Talise City, Minglanilla City. There's many developments out here, City of Anaga, Liloan, and Consolation, Compostelo, Danao City. Get over here, Toledo City. There are a few expats live over here. Balamban over here. I think that's where the big shipbuilding place is, one of them. But you can live outside of town. Of course, traffic coming in during rush hour can be a bear there again. Your big and best hospitals are in Cebu City. So if that is a concern, if you live outside of the city. Anyway, looking forward to your comments as well. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.